Hello everyone and welcome to part 2 of I Am Still Here, or welcome to Walking Hand in Hand with Cancer. My name is Torben and I've been fighting stage 4 cancer since 2017. If you watched my last video, you know everything started in 2015 back in Denmark, with me being stubborn and all that. Um, but now I moved to the US in 17, and I'm living here now. So, well, you know, US have been good to me. So if you feel like these videos is something that would interest people you know that probably are fighting cancer themselves, or uh, you have you are a relative to somebody fighting cancer, please do subscribe down here and give people the link. I almost said like worldwide, because I'm gonna be making a Danish version of it too, since I am from Denmark, and not everybody in Denmark speaks English as bad as I do. So we need some practice. Anyway, in this video I'm gonna talk about 2017. Um, what happened in 2017, of course, I just moved. I moved to the US actually on December 28th, 16, and then shortly after that, give and take, I got married to my wife, and the first couple of months, like 6 months or something, that was a lot of getting paperwork ready, and if you ever move to the US, you know about this, that there's a lot of paperwork involved in that, getting your um, position and getting everything lined up for getting a green card, which allows you to be a permanent resident. And it took a long time. It took like 5 months to get that ready. But happy to say, even though you are past 50, in the US, you can still get to work. So like when I got my Social Security, like a week later, I already had a job as a security guard in one of the casinos. So that was nice. Now, during all this paperwork time, I did have a little pain at the upper part of my chest, stomach. I mean, to my on my left side, and sometimes when I was trying to do sit-ups, yeah, I've tried that. Um, uh, it was like if you ever watched the Alien movies, it was like that head, try and come out. It was that big. It was like this big, approximately. So that was quite big, and there was some pain. Like when we went grocery shopping earlier, when I did the visits here to the US, we could go grocery shopping. We go to IKEA. We could do anything. I could be going on for like hours. It's not my favorite thing to do. I guess maybe that's a guy thing. I don't know. But I could join my wife there for several hours. Um, but during 2017, from January, February, all the way down, I had this thing, and it also started giving me some pain. And so at some points, actually did have to have a little pause when we were doing shopping. It was not pleasant. It could also make me kind of nauseous when those pains go, because it was in the abdominal region. Um, and I just thought it was like hernia, from the surgery I had back in Denmark. So the pain kind of got worse, and I went to my doctor over here in the US, and she sent me to a CT scan. And when the results came back, she said, "I think I need you to go see this doctor um, down at the Christ Hospital, and because I think this might be cancer, colon cancer." And I said, "But in Denmark, they just told me that I was, free of that they removed everything." "Yeah, I think you need to go see him anyway." So Um, in Denmark, you remember if you watched the last video, I was kind of stubborn, and it took me a while to actually go to see the doctor because if you got there and nothing was really bad, you felt like I was wasting his time. Okay, so I went to see this doctor. He was a surgeon and he was a specialist in the abdominal region. And he looked at the scan and he said, "Well, not quite sure if it's an actual tumor or if it is hernia. Let me go get a closer look on the scan." And said, "Okay, look away." So um, I was waiting in his office, and he came, after a while, a few minutes, he came back, opened up the door, and said, "It's a hernia. You can relax." So I told him that was great news because I was getting kind of worried because it was getting irritating. Um, so we left the doctor's office, and a few weeks later, I got my social security card so I could start working. And I also had my green card with conditions. That's a popular thing here. When you move over on what's it called? K1 visa, I believe. I forget because I've been here for like 4 years now, and I blame it on the drugs. Like I said in the last video, I have a very selective memory. Um, I call it sometimes. So anyway, um, I got to do the training at one of the casinos down there. It was like a four-day training program, and every day I was down there when I sat down when I got up, I had this feeling in my stomach, irritation, um, and on the fourth day of training, and I was supposed to start work the day after. On the fourth day of training, I started feeling very nauseous. So I went out I had to go, let me say that. I had to go. My body didn't ask. It wasn't a request. I had to go to the restroom, and you probably can imagine what happened out there. And there was one of the workers at the casino. He heard that it was quite violent sounding. So he called. Luckily, they had what's it called? Some kind of medical trainer, first aid worker on the casino, and he came in there because if you work at the casino and you get like that, the first thing they want to test out is the drugs. Is it something that we can't cope with? But I said nope, it's not, and I pulled up my shirt and showed him this big bump I had on my stomach, and said that's it, and he said, "I think you need to go to the ER and get that checked out." And I said, "Yeah, maybe you're right because I just been very sick." So I went into the office where our training was going on. It was almost done, so I held out for like 6 or 7 minutes, and then I called my wife and said, "Okay, so and so and so, and we need to go to the ER." And she said, "Okay." And 25 minutes later, she was down there, and I was fighting the nausea, and I did very well on that point, if I might add that. So um, she came, we went to the ER, and they put me through another CT scan. And when that came back, the doctor there said, I'm afraid to say that your cancer seems to have returned. Are you sure? Because in Denmark they said so and so, so yes, I'm pretty sure that's it. And I also think that we need to get you uh, set up, submitted to the hospital, so we can examine you a little bit better, a little bit more. And I said, okay, well, if that's what we have to do. So, and just imagine my disappointment. I mean, I moved here to the US, spent all this time doing all the paperwork, getting ready to work, got work quickly, went into the training, and on the last day of training, something like this happened. So again, I felt that I was being tested. I know that it's a popular saying that the Lord won't put you through more than you can handle. Um, but this was a little bit more that I could handle. So I was not completely satisfied with that sentiment. So anyway, I got admitted or submitted to the hospital, and they didn't exactly have any beds. So I was actually being placed in a ICU unit, so they watched me all the time. Um, and then my surgeon, and that was the guy that I had seen before, he came up and he said, "No, let's just I'll put you up for surgery in 4 weeks because right now you seem to be doing okay, so let's do that in 4 weeks." And I said okay, and I was going home. All of a sudden at home, that was like 2 weeks later, I got very sick, and we had to go to the ER again. I have to say about the ER in in 2017, you spend a lot of time in the ER there. Like it could be like 6 hours, and you had this little TV to look at. And it was not all fun and games because being there and it was cold. My wife had to put on a sweater, so well we dealt with it, and then they put me back up in that. Still, they put me in the ICU room, um, and my doctor came back and he said, "This is going too fast. We have to do surgery. Can't do it now, but we'll do it tomorrow." So I said, okay, that was it. I was kind of, halfway scared, but also I felt kind of relieved that, they were taking a good hand on me, so I was taken care of, which is fine. So the surgery was done. I believe that was another like 4 or 5 hour surgery. And when I woke up, I had this bag on my side. I think it's called colostomy. You can correct me in down in the comments if you don't agree. So that was weird because never had anything like that, and I was hoping like back in Denmark that it wouldn't have to be necessary, but it was because he took out a big piece of my colon, so it had to heal. So they just pulled it out through there, and a nurse came up and taught me how to put. If you've ever had a colostomy, you have to put these, what's it called, wafers or like rings on your spot, and then put the bag on top of that ring. I mean, the bag would be placed on that with some connection and everything, um, kind of glue to your skin, um, and it seemed quite easy when she was showing me, and I tried to do it, and that was okay. I got home, I watched the videos about how to do it, and the videos they all had, and I'm showing it like this, but if you have your stomach skin here, and then they all had something sticking up, and that was supposed to be some of your colon sticking up, and everything, the ring could just fit nicely around that, and then you put um, the bottom part of your bag on, and then you click the bag onto that. Now, mine didn't grow out like this, of course. I mean, why would that be easy? I mean, just another problem, right? So I had to kind of fix it around the hole that I had. It was not as big. The nurse said, "Oh, it'll grow out. It'll get bigger." It didn't. On the contrary, it actually started getting back. Bad like uh, dying on me. If you can imagine, it's getting like brown and green. All that stuff. So at some point, I had to go see a specialist on that, and she said, "That doesn't look good. I have to pull this out, and we have to get you down back to the ER again and see if you have any infections because this was just like falling off." And I was just thinking, "Okay, okay, great, another problem." So we went out to the ER, and the thing was pulled out, and um, doctor came up, and they showed me how to work around that kind of hole in my stomach, no, in my abdominal area, and that was all a piece of cake. Looking at it, living with it was a different story, because it turned out that this thing would kind of uh, the hole and where stuff would come out, it was kind of collapsing. So 2 weeks later, I got really sick. We had to go to the hospital again, and he used like an iron stick. I think he enjoyed that a little bit too much, though. Um, he had to find the right size, and then what's it called? Dilate, make it bigger. And he tried to find the right size, and he told me, okay, every week we have to do this. Well, he started with 2 weeks, but after 1 week, I had to go in there again, so we kind of reduced it to every week. So every week I came in there, and he made it bigger, and just as a little revenge on him, I said, "This looks a little bit like Skyline chili," and he said, "You just ruined that for me, Mr. Hansen." And I said, "Good." you know, Sometimes you have to just find your force somewhere and just hit back. And seeing him every week was quite funny, because he had a good sarcastic humor. I guess you have to have that doing all the surgeries and things, and me too. So we had quite some fun there, and that helped kind of also building up my confidence, because as I think I told you in my last video, I am a little crazy. I do have a very vivid mind. Imagination is one of my forces, and just like that, I can throw out a joke. It might be bad, but sometimes I get points for being fast. Not all the time. Fun time. My wife always says, "You're not funny. You're silly." Well, I guess it's a good kind of silly. So being able to do that was a kind of a filter, if you can imagine, um, getting through this, because this was a horrible time. I had to have this bag for 3 months, and then everything was to be put back together. But those 3 months, I'm telling you, it was the worst time, and it was the most challenging time, and that helped in some weird way. It helped building up my stamina, because I was fighting it, I was getting through it, and you know, it was tough. But in when we got to November, I got it taken off, and the things were pulled back together, and everything worked out nicely, kind of, sort of. What I wanted to tell you also was that after the first surgery, I met my oncologist, a very nice guy, and I still have the same one. I love him. Um, and he was looking at me. He looked a bit worried, but I crack some jokes. That's what I do with using the filter. And I'm telling you, like 6 months later, he was telling me that when I met you last summer, I honestly didn't think that you would pull it through, but here you are. And I looked at him in the eye and I said, "Well, clearly you haven't met a Viking before." As you probably remember, I am from Scandinavia, from Denmark, and we do have like a little North God strength in us as well. So something was helping me getting through this. I know probably wasn't those, but the good Lord was showing me, well, we can get through this together. And that's why I came up with the title for my website, like walking hand in hand with cancer. Um, kind of neat. I hope you think so too. Um, we got the colon put back together, and I started on my treatments, cancer treatments. I was a little bit worried about that, because this was like sitting down at the cancer center for 3 to 4 hours getting the treatments, and I was worried. I mean, you should never Google anything, really. Don't do it, because if you Google your medicine that you're getting, uh, honestly, you're almost like 90% certain you're going to die through the treatment. So I was a little bit worried, but for some weird reasons, I didn't have any, weird and hard side effects, only the nausea and having to go to the bathroom a little bit more often than I used to. So that kind of built up my positive thinking, which is important. I know now when we go through this, um, and as the treatments went on, no severe side effects, and I know that having no severe side effects have helped me a lot, giving me inner strength and confidence that I would get through this as well. Even though, when you're told you're stage 4 and people look at you like, oh, he's gonna die. Well, I was gonna show them something different because it was still it was still kind of surreal for me. If you remember, that was one of my first feelings back in Denmark, that it was very surreal. So I couldn't see myself um, dying from this. Although stage 4 is, kind of lethal in a way, but I was not giving up. I went through all the treatments. My wife was there through all the 4 hours. So, excuse me a second. I don't edit my videos, so you get the real me. Uh, it's very tough on the relatives as well, to be a witness, to see what their husband or wife or brother, sister, best friend is going through, and it was tough on her. But we talked. We got something to eat. We took all the free, like soda pops, biscuits. Uh, I found out Belvita is good. That's what I learned at the hospital. So that was really nice. But her being by my side, the rock, that was what I was leaning up against. So she has been supporting me all the way through. We go through the first set of treatments, and it went well. The numbers were going down. We actually got all the way down to actually between 0 and 5. We got it down to 2. That was the lowest we got, but that was kind of a victory because those cancer markers, they have to be between like 0 and 5. So that was good. Now moving on, we took a little break here after the first treatments. We tried to put in some other stuff later on because cancer is a beast, you know that, and the numbers started climbing up again. So we put some other medicine in there like Avastin. Avastin is a tough medical. If you have any bleedings inside, it will just like punch through it, and you will get a nosebleed. If you look hard on your nose when you're having Avastin, it'll start bleeding. It was that bad. And since I was still healing a little bit from the colon surgery, of course, it started bleeding like nose and the other way. You know what I'm talking about. So we had to take the Avastin out again and just keep the rest of the stuff. I love the names that they gave those medicines that you get. This whole section was called Full Fury. Like full power. And the medicine, we gave it full power. So we kept the numbers low for a great deal of time. Um, in 2018, I had to I got the chance of taking my wife to Denmark so she could meet her grandchildren, kind of new grandchildren, and that was one of the best trips. It did mean like I had to take 8 weeks pause from the treatment, but the numbers were down like between 5 and 10. It was still low. Some of the cancer markers, the doctor told me they could be like jumping up to like 1,000 or like 2,000. So that was pretty high compared to mine. But of course, we wanted to be on top of it. So I hope that you enjoyed this video part 2. Next time I'll be talking a little about, I'll mention a little bit about our Denmark trip, and I'll also talk about how the numbers started climbing again. So, so not to tire you too much, this was part 2 of my I'm Still Here videos under my channel Walking Hand in Hand with Cancer. So remember to share the link if you feel somebody could benefit from it, and also stay tuned, because in a week or so we'll have part 3, and I hope to see you all again there. So let me know in comments if you have any questions. I will also tell you that later on, when I get through this little story, I'll be talking about cancer people and other people, the reactions, and how to. This sounds very academic, but how to interact, how to best approach. So until then, have a great week, and remember to get vaccinated. I know you may be in doubt, but I got vaccinated, had no side effects from that either. Probably because I'm so full of cancer medications that this vaccination would have to be something very special to actually give me side effects. But you know what I mean. So until then, be nice to each other, and I'll see you in a week's time. Bye bye now.